Lee Sung-jae, actor of the film, Fujii Mina, and director Kim Ki-duk. First of all, thank you for having your world premiere with us in Panorama. It's an honor. And maybe I wanted to ask you all three, actually, about the Korea-Japan mix that you have in the film. You could have made, Director Kim, a film only about Korea and in Korea, but you chose to have the Japanese element. Fujii Mina, the actress, speaks fluent Korean and Japanese, and she has had a lot of experience in both countries. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that?
제가 먼저 이제 말씀을 드릴게요.
I start to answer the question. I made a film, The Dream, and in this dream there was a Japanese actor who was also in this movie, Grigo, and they played a couple who were speaking each of the languages but could understand each other. And as well as in the movie The Dream, it's the same with this movie. Even if they speak different languages, Korean and Japanese, between the dialogues there seems no difficulties to understand the other language. And through this movie I wanted to show about the limits of language or understanding, about the boundaries of a human being. And it was a theme that interested me very much. And it's also the meaning, the message that this movie delivers. I wanted to experience or experiment with the boundaries of the human being, the feelings, the emotions, boundaries of ethics or morality. And so this film is constructed in many layers of these boundaries.
Yes, well, I have started working in Japan 13 years ago, and in Korea I've been working for 6 years now, and I was always dreaming of working abroad and working in an international community, and then it was that I saw this movie that Mr. Kim Ki-duk was talking about 4 or 5 years ago, Dream. And I thought this is a very interesting thing that actors from different countries speak in their own language and their own boundaries. And I also wanted to work in such kind of movie.
なので今回は同じ手法を使って
Yes, and this movie is also very similar to Dream. Mr. Odadir and I are the only Japanese actors in this movie. We also had an interpreter on set. Sometimes he was there, sometimes he was not. And yes, we were talking in Japanese, and our Korean actors were talking in Korean. And this was a very special environment. This is not a normal situation. But when I saw the movie, I thought that this was working quite well. It was a very, very special.
すごく特別な体験をさせていただいたように思います。
What about you? I mean, this was part of your character's essential relationship, the language barrier. How was it for you?
First of all, I was the politician, the senator in the movie.
Sorry.
About the language barrier, Fujii Mina can speak Korean really well, so during the shooting on set there wasn't any problems. And for me it was really interesting to have on set an actress or an actor from a different ethnic background. It was a really good experience for me.
Are there any questions from your side? I see a hand over there.
Since I neither speak Japanese nor Korean, I'm not so much interested in the language barrier, but why? It's a question for the director actually. Why did you choose to portray men as violent and as corrupt or as losers, and women as victims or prostitutes. What kind of metaphor is that in this context, in this film? Thanks.
I think this is because of the patriarchal social structure in Korea. It's very old, and because of the conservative thinking in the Korean society. And I depict this in my movies because this is what I observed. But this was not my intention when I made this movie. When I made this movie, I wanted to convey the message: how would nature observe mankind or humankind? How would a tree observe human beings? How would a flying bird see humans? Or how would the sea see the humans? My former movies were about how a human sees another human. And normally it is the way that humans are observing the nature, but this is a movie on the other way around. A lot of movies are about how one person perceives another person, or how they feel the eyes of other persons on themselves. And but when nature observes humans, I think it's without any emotions. And I guess that it was not easy to see this movie, that you had shock elements or shock moments when you see this movie, when you saw this movie, and that you feel your own limits during watching. But when in interacting human between human, there's always some kind of controlling the emotions. And I think nature is free from those emotions, and it is very cool when nature sees people.
Any other questions from you? There's one hand here, another one here, and another one here. Should we do them from up down to up?
Yeah, my question is, could you as an author imagine a different outcome if there were different people found in this, or who found themselves on this ship?
What do you mean by different people?
Different kinds of people, perhaps more enlightened. Or it seemed to be two characters who were sort of more enlightened, kind, and intelligent, but they were outnumbered by other types of people, more greedy and self-serving. If the numbers were switched, would there be a different outcome, or is it more or less inevitable from the point of view of nature you described it?
Well, then I wouldn't make this movie.
제가 이 영화를 만들면
what I always considered when making the movie was what humans are concerned about. Why do they fight? Why are they angry with each other? And this setting was I wanted to show the whole world in a condensed form where everybody is thrown into this ship.
우리가 살고 있는 세상에 압축된 인물들을 저는 이 영화에 이 배에 태웠다고 생각합니다. 우리가 여러분들이 이제 이 영화를 보시면서
I suppose that when you watched this movie, you had a lot of associations. I think you didn't perceive this ship as merely a tourist attraction, but like a small world, a small microcosm, a universe. And I think you also might remember all of those wars and conflicts during human history. Yeah.
상상했을 거라고 생각합니다. 아마 제가 이 영화를
I had problems financing this movie, so it was a low-budget movie. If I had like $20 million for as a budget, I would have had another scale. I would have had like 2,000 soldiers on the ship. I would have had the real ship major, which was in the Korean War. So then there would have been more good people on board as well.
The next question was over here. So actually in front of you was before you. Thank you.
I'm sorry to say this, I don't want to hurt anyone, but I was very disappointed with this movie. and it actually made me question the quality control of this whole section. I think the only positive thing I can say is that the actors worked fine with what they were given, but when I hear all the themes you wanted to show with this movie and wanted to portray, then I really would have wished for at least one multi-layered character. I didn't see any of these. I do not mind violence in movies, but I think this was a very good example of a movie which just portrayed very stupid and flat violence, and I think this is not a movie that
Is there a question in there at some point?
Yeah, why weren't there any multi-layered characters in the script?
아마 그게 제 수준이라고 생각합니다.
I think those are my limits.
Hello?
Yes, I just wanted to say just a small remark and two questions. I found a movie very brave. Of course, if you make a movie brave, it doesn't turn out to be logic at the end of the day. But at the beginning of the movie, I found it a rush. So come on, if you have normal people, no youngsters would rape a woman just like this. I mean, people grow evil by time. For example, if they don't have food, maybe after 10 days, starving, they will begin to eat each other. But they will not right away at the beginning rape each other in today's world. But that happened a lot in your movie. Was there a reason for it? This was my first question. My second question is, the objective of this type of movie, I mean, okay, it's good to portray the reality, but at the end of the day, if I watch such a movie, then I will come out of this hall with some, like maybe some, at least some, how to say it, not hatred, but some strange feeling about my fellow humans. Isn't it better to make a movie that has a good end, that teaches us something to be more human? But
we would like to have a discussion about this film, not the film. You're making a new film out of this one.
No. What's the reason? Maybe there is a reason. I just want to understand. Maybe you say, no, it's better that we come out of this hall and hate each other a little bit more. Maybe there's a reason.
I think it's a very good question, and I think you like my movies. Well, if you remember, this movie is consisted of 4 chapters. It's human, space, time, and human. And in the first chapter, human, I wanted to show everything that human beings are, their attitude, their reality, how they are. And then the next chapter goes on with space and time, where the surroundings or the environment is more depicted. And I said before that this movie isn't about humans who are looking at humans, but more than a movie about nature observing the humankind.
이렇게 아까 말씀을 드렸습니다. 그리고 저는 영화가 교훈적이어야 한다고 생각하지는 않습니다.
And I do not think that a movie should be in some way educational.
영화는 질문이어야 한다고 생각합니다.
My mind is that a movie has to throw the question.
우리가 영화가 자꾸 인간적인 어떤 감동을 주는 것에서 영화가 마무리된다면 세상은 더 바뀌지 않을 거라고 저는 생각합니다.
Because if a movie ending is kind of make you feel good or impress you emotionally, the world won't change.
제가 만든 22편의 모든 영화의 엔딩 장면은 거의 거의 유사합니다. 이 영화처럼.
Almost all of my 23 movies have a similar ending.
단 한 번도 희망을 준 적이 없습니다.
There is no hope in the end.
그것이 바로 제 영화의 라스트입니다.
And this is the ending of my movies.
I'm very sorry for the ones who raised their hands. I'm very sorry to say we've run out of time. But thank you all for participating. Thank you for coming. And we hope you vote for your favorite